16, is it? I think something like that. Anyway, we are getting towards a pointy end of the season. Every game now really matters, and especially as this table is so close. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind DrivingMaul, your best place for predictions and opinion, and thank you very much for joining us yet again this evening. So, the way that we run these things around here, well, I just hand over the reins to Steve and drink my gin and tonic and hang out with you guys in the chat. So, Steve, take it away.
Well, thank you very much, sir, and welcome back, everyone, to, yes, it is round 16, Paul. Well done, you've learnt to count. And, of course, welcome back to Shane, who's joining us yet again to have a look through the matches from this round. So we've got a full array of matches, and we've got one cracker right in the middle that we want to look at as well, so we'll get stuck into it straight away and kick things off on Friday night with the Blues versus the Bulls. And I'm sure Paul's probably got a lot to say about this match, about how his Blues went, but pouring rain, it was the middle of winter as it is, wet, slippery conditions, and the early handling and scrum woes showed just how bad it was for the two sides. Both teams grabbed penalties in the opening 15 minutes, where the first try was scored by the Bulls. In typical Bulls fashion as well, forwards hard running at the line, bursting through tackles, recycling quickly, and it was too heavy, too fast for the Blues to handle, and Liebenberg crashed over to open his account. The Blues did strike back though, and finally it took them a long time. A lot of close chances close to the line. The TMO sent them away once, but they come storming back to Angafasi to score, and the lead back to the Blues with the conversion. They took that lead to halftime as well, 10 points to 8. The Blues over the Bulls. Summing it up, the weather was really the big winner of that first half as well. A lot of run of penalties early in the second half, and it set the Blues in a long period of attack. Tidy play in front of the line out, puts them a metre short, similar to the first, and then Scrafton crashes over to put the Blues out by more. It was a wet night, but the Bulls turned up the heat. A quick ruck turnover from them, and they set away against the shambles of a defensive line, something we're used to with the Blues. Hendricks up against Robertson out wide, and the winger, oh, he's clever, isn't he? He may not be what he used to be, Cornell Hendricks, but he cleverly chips it over the top, perfectly weights the ball, and easily wins the chase in to score. And the scoreboard said 15-15, and my mind was going, uh-oh, we are in for another draw. And sure enough, the Blues, though, grabbed the lead back through Akira Ioane off the back of the scrum. Some good defence, forced it out to a 5-minute scrum, but it was a try to Akira, and the 7-point lead back to the Blues. There was just 5 minutes remaining, and the Bulls got a huge chance of penalties, kicking their way to the corner. A great set play as well, using their backline for a change for the Bulls. And the Blues, well, the rush defence was poorly executed, and Libbok split them in half and went over for a solo try and tied it up 22-22. But the killer for the Blues fans out there was one young man by the name of Plummer, missing a chance on the 80th minute to win the game, and all the young Blues fans went home disappointed as the kick went astray and the score remained 22-all. A massive missed chance for the Blues, Shane, but good for the Bulls, you got to say.
Look, I think the Blues weren't too bad either, and the Blues and the Blue Bulls, and I thought one of them would be singing the blues, and both of them were at the end of the night with a draw. Look, I think the opportunity to win the game with the Blues and the opportunity missed, the missed penalty, and the Bulls belted in a touch and say they were happy with taking 2 points out of it. I think overall I thought it was a good game. I quite enjoyed the grittiness of this game. There was a lot of work with the forwards, which is to be expected on a cold, wet night. It reminded me of my first Kentucky tour, actually, of North Auckland, with the rain, and the wind. But all in all, I would say that Leon McDonald has learnt how to be frustrated and be a bit like me and you, Steve, probably with our receding hairlines. And the joys of going from a Mitre 10 Cup coach to a Super Rugby coach, not getting the required wins. That was a pretty winnable game too for the Blues, so I guess I won't be happy about that, but to be honest, I quite enjoyed the game. There was some good stuff in that.
And Paul's going to come on. What you got to say, Paul?
Well, I was actually at this game. one of the rare games I've actually made this year. And so thank you very much to Stephen Harris, who you'll know on the other shows, for getting me a ticket for this one. And we hid at the top of the South Stand actually, and met up with 2 Cents Rugby. But just the basic unforced errors, especially in the first half by the Blues, really were just so frustrating. I mean, I've got my Blues jersey on tonight. Good old-fashioned one with BNZ actually on the front, not Ford. But you're not going back that far. But just silly. They just need to just decent handling. Just stop dropping the ball, and this one would have been won.
Yeah, well, it's definitely theirs for the taking, and they've only got themselves to blame. And, I mean, what was worse was the comments after the game that's saying they should be able to trust themselves in those conditions, in any conditions, to do things well. But, no, they were far below the required standard, the Blues. And the Bulls, I'll take that. 2 points in a very, very tough and tense South African conference. I'll take that definitely back home with them as well. Moving on over to the Australian side of the Great Ditch, and the Rebels are up against the Waratahs. And highlight-wise, there's not really much to talk about this one between the two teams. A few minutes in, we got a set play from a Tars scrum in their own half, and Curly Beale launched an attack, finding Curtis Rona, who's been in impressive form. You've got to say, he rocketed away before it was the Juggle brothers, that I'm now calling them, Bernard Foley and Adam Ashley Cooper, both juggling the ball, somehow managing not to drop it and recovering to score. That was the only real highlight of that first half. The two teams went into the break 13 points to 3. The Waratahs with the lead. The penalties proving to be the way to score the points. Finally, though, the Rebels got back into the game into the second half, and it was Marika Koroibete who had been fairly impressive, launching from a massive wide ball from Jack Maddox. Some brilliant offloads from, two, I should say, Dane Haylett-Petty, and of course Quade Cooper, who gets his try and awarded after being denied minutes earlier for an indiscretion going to the TMO. The Waratahs, though, brought it back and they extended their lead after much whinging and moaning from one Curtly Beale to the referee, who overturned his call, and from the preceding scrum, and some messy football as well on the floor. It was a lottery on the in goal, and Curtis Rona was the lucky one to fall on it and claim the try for the Tars. The game really did fall apart in the second half. It got a real mess. The Rebels got a bit lucky, a mid-air crash, and surprisingly, the referee didn't send anyone to the bin, which is a bit un-Super Rugby-like. And the Rebels get a scrum, and from it, Koroibete has a little quick pick and go off the ruck after, and offloads to Guinea to score to bring the game back into a contest. But it wasn't finished off by the Rebels, and they fell away in the end, 20 points to 15. The Waratahs managed to hold on. The Rebels camp, though, they attacked the Waratahs line for an age at the end, but were really unable to do enough to get themselves over the line, Shane.
Well, Homer and that chainsaw and hockey mask strike again for the old Waratahs. It really is a, for the Rebels, it's a nightmare story that continues year after year when they play the Tars. They get this close, but they don't get the win. That was, to be honest, an awful game of rugby union to watch. And I don't think, if I was a Wallaby selector, any of them deserved a goal jump, other than probably Koroibete with some of his big winding runs. I wasn't certainly convinced. It was probably like watching fourth grade, and I've watched better fourth grade games in the country than Paul's already got the flag up.
Well, if you're not picking any Wallabies from these two teams, who is going to turn up who's going to wear a Wallabies jumper?
We might have to go to Europe, old mate. It really is bad. It really is dire straits. Walk on by. That is how bad this game was. I mean, you had scrappiness. You had no real determination to get the basic skills right. Have they been listening to Mick Byrne? You need to listen to Mick Byrne and not Checker and not Scott Johnson. You've got to listen to somebody that knows what they're talking about. And, I came disappointed. The most exciting thing about that night was me cooking the banana bread with butter. That was, it was not a nice Australian derby to watch, and in the end, probably the right result happened. The result that I'd predicted on Steve's show happened yet again. And the Rebels, well, they were great last week against the Sunwolves, and then this week they turn up and have a Barry Crocker. I mean, it's rocks and diamonds in Australian rugby.
It is indeed. And while you
before Shane cuts his wrist, let's move on to a good game.
Well, you're talking about looking good against the Sunwolves. They are up next, and they're up against another Australian team in the Brumbies. But it didn't start off with all roses and happy places for the Brumbies, as the Sunwolves stunned everyone to score with just seconds on the border, lucky deflection off the kick, and Masurewa set it up for Salmaki to race away and score 7-0 early on. It looked like it could be a great day for Japanese rugby, but the Brumbies not ones to lie down, and they didn't take long to strike back. Simone carving off Slipper's pass, and then Pete Samu crashing over the former Crusader, getting in the points in this one for the Brumbies. Simone added 5 more of his own after the Brumbies got an easy ride up the field from scrum penalties. One-on-one poor tackles being a real down point for the Sunwolves at this point, as they were getting run over pretty much by the Brumbies attack. More points for the Brumbies as a crossfield kick from Liliafano to Spate was absolutely pinpoint. The offloading was brilliant. The support play is superb. And Banks was the one to take the finishing credit on yet another try for the Brumbies. But they didn't think about one man, and that was Samisu Masurewa, X-Factor. This man, we've seen it all over. He is X-Factor on ice, and there's nothing that he can't do. Static ball, nothing on for the Sunwolves. He gets it, he picks it up, he carves the line, fending off 2, 3, 4 defenders on the way. A scorching run of solo spectacular brilliance to give a little bit of life to the Sunwolves game. Into halftime they went, it was 21-12. The Brumbies, though, still leading comfortably at the halfway point. Into the second half, and the Brumbies went back to the rolling maul from the line-out, and it finally started to tell after it had been defended well from the Sunwolves in the first half. But it was the man with an interesting name, McInerney. What a name! Where's he come from? At the back of the maul, he gets his first try of the night, and then let's go back-to-back again. And it's another chance. The Brumbies take it back to boring. The Sunwolves set it up for exciting, and another stunner. Masurewa again, kick return, beats 2 defenders, and then the pace, electric, support from Booth, and it was 3 more defenders pouncing on Masurewa. Booth got an easy run away to put something back in the bank for the Sunwolves. The Brumbies, though, they are happy to keep it old school, they're happy to keep it tight, and the line-out maul was working wonders yet again. And who else but McInerney, who went over for his second try, and then, again, let's say it again, another line-out maul, and another drive, and another try to McInerney. His hat-trick in the second half as a replacement. Absurd. The Brumbies all over this one, though. 42-19. Easy win. Look good against the Sunwolves.
Yes. I actually always believe in the promotion of a 3 p.m. afternoon rugby game in Australia. It was a little bit earlier than that, obviously, in Tokyo, but fantastic to see afternoon rugby, running rugby, and quite, I thought, a reasonable game for what it was worth. The Sunwolves Sunwolves tried their best, and I thought Masurewa was really good for them, and Hayden Parker played really well. But the Brumbies are starting to roll on. They don't have the New Zealand sides for the rest of the season, other than probably finals. So, and they have been Australia's best side this year. And for good reason. They're starting to get a roll on with their mauls quite a bit. And McInerney came off the bench for a hat-trick. But you're seeing some attacking facets of their play as well. They're starting to spread the ball out wide. Kurandrani, Spate's getting a lot of room. Banks. All these boys do deserve a gold jumper because they're playing some good rugby. And look out for Dan McKellar's coaching stocks to rise in the next couple of years too. He's doing a great job with them. And
all I can say is how filthy is Folau Fainga right now. Going off, leading try scorer. No, it's all right, you boys take it over. Hat trick to the reserve hooker. he must be absolutely livid that he couldn't go on and get those three. He'd be out and clear now, the top try scorer. But alas, poor old Flowey's missing out on that one. But that was a big one for the Brumbies. Before we get on to our next one, I'll throw it to Paul for the halftime team talk, because the next one, match of the season.
So yeah, welcome to Halftime Team Talk. And the only place to have watched the match of the season was, well, there were two places. One was Fiji. The other place was the Zone Sports Bar, where myself and Minty gave you a wonderful pre-show and all that kind of stuff. I really enjoyed watching that game. But the way to support the channel is to head down to the link below. That's www.patreon.com/DrivingMaul, where you can get exclusive content, my opinions on things. I pull back the curtains on how DrivingMaul runs the business, and I tell you how I'm doing it versus the bookie. So please head down there and support the channel, and you can do it for as little as $1 a month. Back to you, Steve.
Right, brace yourself, everyone. Take a deep breath, because this is the best game, the great game. I mean, the game of Super Rugby this season. Fiji was the place. The Chiefs versus the Crusaders was the matchup. And boy, what a game we were absolutely blessed to witness. Let's go into it. Right, it started off with the Crusaders erupting the Fijian crowd for the opening try that was all created from, unsurprisingly, a Chiefs knock-on straight to the hands of Ryan Crotty, who quickly finds Scott Barrett. And, I mean, we started off with a hiss and roar, didn't we? You see Scott Barrett trundling away 50 metres, fending off, swatting off Chiefs defenders. A fantastic try, and already we knew the crowd would be buzzing, but already you could get the excitement in this game as the Crusaders kicked things off very, very nicely. They doubled their lead from a line-out maul. It screwed towards a touchline, but breaks off just at the back and goes just short. Drummond quickly snipes around from a fractured defence, and they got a second try for the Crusaders. It was all looking one-way traffic, and I tell you what, Fiji was the place to be. Fijian rugby was the result of it as well, because we got some absolute crackers. Scrum set piece, a little bit of a play around in the middle of the park. It's Braden Inor, and it's pace that breaks the line. Support from Sevu Reece, and catch you later. He's electric. He is gone. It's another try time. It's 70 metres away, and the crowd is going bananas. This is all one-way traffic and all to the Crusaders. Now, there's one man who had threatened a little bit in this opening stanza that the Crusaders were dominating for the Chiefs, and that was Solomon Alomalo. He finally got a little bit of reward as well. A great offload from Ardron, and the step around Havili was simply sublime. No need for support for him, as he did it all by himself. And finally, we said the Chiefs have got some points. Now we might have a bit of a contest. Great rugby still, though. It was at that top level. We're heading towards half-time, and the Chiefs launched another brilliant attack down the right-hand side. The bounce of the ball let them down, but they kept the pressure on the Crusaders' line. After multiple phases, it was Takiaho who spun his way over the line, and life was pumped really into this game. 20 points to 12, and it was once again game on finally. But you got to say, it's been a long time since we've seen rugby like this, and this good as well. Pretty much straight off the kickoff, everyone was toning down for half-time, but not the Chiefs. They attacked again. Anton Leonard-Brown set off, and he set away the big number 8, so a cooler. The big man absolutely tearing it up the middle of the park, dragged down just about before the 22, recycled quickly by Weber, and it's out to Nankivell. Options left and right, every which way. He picks right, he picks perfectly, and Peretti perfectly sets the crowd into raptures. A phenomenal game. The Chiefs 20-0 down, heading into halftime now, 1 point behind, 19-20. The Crusaders led by just the one at the break. Let's get back to the second half. Let's continue how we left off, however, and the Crusaders back into it. Returning a clearing kick from the Chiefs, the Crusaders found a tiny little overlap out wide, and Brad Nina was in for what's probably been the calmest and easiest finishes of the night. Game of the season continued on. It should be, I think, an hour-long episode on just this match, the way it's gone as well. Debrasini cuts the defence in half this time, and the ability from the Chiefs to keep the ball alive makes it so hard for anyone to defend. Talval, Soakula, brilliant offloads, and it keeps Weber, who nips in for another try for the scrum half, who is having an exceptional season. The scoreline now, 26-27. Let's go on. A quiet little spell in the game is broken by a ferocious burst. Stevenson of a great little ball from Debrasini, and the rocket boots are on. We know this guy's got pace, and he used it. He just scorched his way of a simple little play, and Debrasini was pulling some strings through the middle. And it's surprising at this point, all the talk of the game was about how much energy or how little energy that these players had left. And to see a player who's played the whole game burst through and use all that himself was amazing. And the Chiefs led 33-27. Now, Debrasini had a chance to put the lead out to 9 on the 77th minute, but it was missed. A short 22 dropout, and this was just so, around about this whole match, how it was. Manu just leaping high, completely unnoticed, to pluck that ball from the 22 as the Crusaders were looking to fight their way back. Burst through, no one home at the back. Everyone was committed forward for the Crusaders, and he just went through unopposed to score again for the Chiefs, leaving it late, leaving it tight, but they eventually took it by 13 points. Game of the season, no question. I want to see more of that in the next game, in the next week. 40 points to 27. The Chiefs with a win, and all I can say about this game is thank you, Fiji.
Thank you, Fiji, indeed. It's very good. As a Fiji Indian person myself on my mother's side, I'm really proud to see the embrace of Super Rugby going to the island nations, and we've got to do more of that, and we've got to promote it, not just at a Super Rugby level, but at international level too, and that's probably a discussion for Paul and his rugby chat crew later down the line. But I will say this, and I've wanted to say this all year, because I say it with the Tars. You'd think leading 20-0 and then losing 40-27, a little bit of sympathy in my heart for the Crusaders, but I don't. Good on the Chiefs. Good on you, boys. I was sick and tired of watching Crusaders win after win after win after win after win, particularly with our guys. Thank you for standing up and making something of this competition. Thank you for playing the attacking rugby that we know you can do. A horror start to the season, now to beat the Crusaders, that's fantastic. And not just beat them, almost destroy them in the end. with some very confident rugby. Very nearly got the bonus point in the end for tries. It was just, I think the Crusaders back just tapped it over the end goal on full time. But excitement galore, attacking rugby, and this is why we should be playing games in Apia and Samoa, in Fiji, because people will come out and they will watch these games, and it'll be just as marketable if you play that game than in some other, some other New Zealand areas as well that you can take that out to. So I'm really excited about this potential of bringing good sides, good attacking rugby, and yes, no sympathy for the Crusaders. Good on you, Chiefs.
What's amazing about that game, 20-0, we talked about that already, Crusaders up. The second hour, so I mean, minus that first 20 minutes, the Chiefs won that game 40 points to 7. 40 points to 7. That is absurd. That is crazy stuff. Just played the game of their lives. It was a fantastic matchup to watch, and such excitement, such atmosphere, which you've got to credit 100% to the crowd. They're passionate, they love it, they don't care, and I think rugby fans around the rest of the world, especially in the Southern Hemisphere, from New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, can learn a lot from that, because that Absolutely. Is massive to get out there, support it, and they weren't supporting the Chiefs. They weren't supporting the Crusaders. They were supporting rugby. Because it was, who cares? The Chiefs would break. They were up on their feet. Then it would turn around the other way. They were up on their feet. It was just a brilliant atmosphere. And you didn't notice anything. You didn't notice the things you pick on. Referee, he could have been out there having a drink in the sheds for all I cared, because that game was just next level, right up there. Best I've seen for a long, long time. And who wins? Who cares? It was just a spectacle, but well done to the Chiefs. It was a brilliant, brilliant matchup, and I just wish we could see that more often. Rugby like that's what gets you excited, that's what gets you watching each and every week of Super Rugby. That's more of what we want to see in Super Rugby as well. So, great work, Fiji. Well done. And I heard that was the heard that was the last year of that contracted term for Fiji as well. So hopefully someone does pick that up in future and go back over there and get some more Super Rugby on the islands, because if that's what it's going to deliver, bring it on. Give us a whole heap more of it as well. Right, we better move on, or else we're going to have a 3-hour-long show talking about Super Rugby this week, which Paul will be falling asleep by. We'll move on to the Reds versus the Jaguares, and it's your team in action here, Shane, and it was a hard watch after just watching that Chiefs versus Crusaders game. And it took a good 15 minutes, which is a bit weird for this weekend because we got normally quite fast starts, but it was the Reds who struck first, and it was Karevi doing what he normally does, the hard work, through the middle, and as a finish for his midfield partner, Chris Fiawi-Sortea, that got them underway. A messy Reds line out opened the door for the Jaguares, who grabbed it head down the right-hand side, and it was electric speed and silky smooth skills with the ball on the ground, which the commentators get excited about because Argentina's a football nation, which why do they even talk sometimes as Australians? But it was the first try for the Jaguares, and it was Carreras who dotted down for his first Super Rugby try as well on the wing. Some poor clearances from the Reds' own line gifted more chances for the Jaguares, and some crunching hard lines, and a little snipe from scrum half is Kura, who dots down and grabbed the lead for the Jaguares, who took it to half-time, 15 points to 13. The penalties, though, keeping the Reds in touch of this game. The Reds continued to opt for the threes, and they took the lead back, but 55 minutes in, the Jaguares did it in the forwards, and they did it in the big numbers. Matoja benefiting from a run of pick and goes, go close to the line, and with it, they took the lead back. Now the game sort of changed a bit. The Jaguares, the set piece got them the dominance, and throughout the game, it just grew throughout as well. And they were telling through the game to get that point. Now, in midway second half, they were starting to actually convert into points for them. Creamer was the one who got a good front foot carry, bulldozing over the top of Karevi, which you don't see too much happen for the Reds, and that put them over with 9 minutes to go, and surely the game in the bag there. But the Reds, you got to give them the credit, they don't give up, and late in the game, Campbell dot down the right corner following some strong running from Hegarty. The conversion is good, and it was game on yet again, 23-29, the Jaguares with the lead. And then it was that man again getting his second try, Carreras, on opening up for the Jaguares, and he shut the gate for them too. Karevi with the overlap out wide, but the intercept seen him rocket 80 metres downfield. It was a win or lose sort of situation there for him, and he took the chance and he put it away. Gave him the bonus point back as well, 34-23, the Jaguares. Another win on the road, and they look super impressive as now they almost pretty much confirm their top spot in South Africa.
Well done to them. You know, they deserve to be there. They deserve to be in Super Rugby, and they deserve their win. It's not often that I get very, very hard on the Reds, being a Reds supporter, but I am going to. I just wasn't impressed with that performance. There was a lot of basic skill errors. You shouldn't be throwing intercept passes. You shouldn't be dropping simple passes in midfield attack. That's why teams like the boys from Argentina, that's how they cut you to ribbons and take advantage of those mistakes, because you've got quite a senior international side. Now, that's no excuse. The Reds have some very good quality players and some quality young players, and they should be able to match them. There's a lot of wallabies in that side, and they are not living up to the potential that Brad Thorne is trying to install in them. And we can't live on a ceiling of 5 or 6 wins a year and think that that's good enough. It was last year, because last year was supposed to be the first year of rebuilding. This year, there should have been 7 or 8 wins already in the bag. I'm sorry to sound so disappointed here, but the skill errors let the Reds down. You could see the international quality come out in the Jags, mate, and that's all she wrote when that intercept pass went through. I was begging him to stop and try and get the pilfer and get the ball back and run 97 metres, but you can't believe in miracles in rugby. I wish I could, but yeah, credit where it's due. And the Reds just have to play out the next couple of weeks and hopefully play with the Waratahs.
Well, all bad news for the Reds there, is it? Not a happy story at all. So we'll move on to South Africa, where there's more happy stories, and it goes the way for the Hurricanes this time. They're up against the Sharks on the road, of course, and it was the Barra brothers who kicked this game into life after just 7 minutes. A jinking little run from Beauden Barrett, drawing all the defenders around him like he does, and it was backyard buddy Geordie right there beside him, who went down to dot down right under the sticks. Following that, Lau Marpley reminded everyone what he has to offer the black jersey, being almost a forgotten man of the way things have been going recently. A blockbusting run for 5 metres out, tackled by 5 defenders, but he was never held, and he just kept getting up, he kept fighting through, and claimed a ludicrous finish amongst a whole pile of defenders to put the Canes out to a commanding 20-3 lead just before half-time. The Sharks, though, struck back at the critical time just before the break. The Dupree brothers doing a little bit more sibling magic, like we've seen already in this match. A mesmerising run from Lekanyo had the defence in tatters, and Fussy had the easy task to finish it in the corner and then get tripped up on his way around celebrating as well, just to celebrate with. It was the Hurricanes who entered the break at 20-10 over the Sharks. And we talk about good teams scoring on either side at half-time. That's what the Sharks did here. Good attacking work down the left by Mapimpi, Fussy and Schroeder. And then the big boys took over. Schoeman forcing his way over to breathe life back into this game. That was the last of the joy for the Sharks, however. And you can put the next try down solely to one man. And that goes by the name of a South African name as well, which is probably a bit more salt to the wound. But Wes Houston getting the ball on the touchline. Nothing really happening. Beats his defender with a fend, reminiscent of one Corey Jane. And when he looked lost and waiting for support, he just kept the fullback in 2 minds, then beat him with acceleration and stretched to put the finish in for the Canes. A commanding lead now, 30-17. But that was how it remained. But it wasn't all plain sailing for the Hurricanes. Their defence was thoroughly tested with 5 minutes left on the clock. We got red card number 8, and it was for Vai Fafita. It was lifted the Sharks somewhat, but the error rate, their discipline, not good enough. The Canes held on, and then promptly as soon as the full-time whistle went, they tried to beat each other up, which was, a bit old school to see, but it was a Hurricanes 30, the Sharks 17, and a good result for the Wellington side back in the winners' circles.
Well, when I was on the preview show with you, Steve, last week, I said that the Canes had to shut out the Durban crowd. They just had to play their own game, to keep a simple management plan together, and they did that. And they came out of Durban with some valuable points, and it keeps them, very well grounded, because they're a very well grounded side when they play some really good rugby, and they played some really good rugby in Durban. Yes, they were tested. It's always a very physical game with the Sharks. The Sharks play their best rugby against New Zealand opponents, as I've mentioned before as well. I think that, we saw the best of the Hurricanes with their attacking rugby. We also saw them withstand the pressure of the Sharks' attack, which is very dangerous as well. And as I said, if they do that, which they did, and come out with valuable points, it can only be good for the Hurricanes, and that's a very positive way to be a party to when you get wins like that.
I had to sympathise with Jamie in the live chat as well. Don't worry, buddy. I picked the Sharks to win this one as well, so it's all bad news for all of us. Surprised that result was probably so convincing for the Hurricanes, but good on them. I mean, if they go there and do that, it's got to be great for their confidence if they've got a tour again when it comes to playoff games as well. So that's massive for them. Move on to our final game of the weekend, the Lions versus the Stormers. And again, much like we've seen all weekend, doesn't take long for the tries to start flowing. 5 metres out, a line out from the Stormers line, I should say. And Quagga Smith, oh man, this man, I think, give him just about World Player of the Year already. Quagga Smith has been fantastic. A little line-out play around the front. Looked like they were sitting for a maul, and he just bulldozed his way through. No one was really tricking down that side, and his power gets him over, and a good start for the home team. And then it was Quagga Smith again, who almost scored again. Now, if you haven't seen this, go check out highlights of this game. He's a flanker, Quagga Smith. We know he's a back rower. The ability he has to break down the wing, chip a fullback, beat him for pace, and then almost score it is just crazy what this guy can do. I just thought that a highlight like that for a flanker doing something like that is just mesmerising. So go check that out if you haven't seen it. Unfortunately, knocked the ball on. He's just placing it down. So no try there for him. The Lions, though, they're cruising after half an hour in control of the game. And right after conceding a penalty, they went straight back to work. Andres Coetzee showing the power and skill that's earned him time for Springboks as he dragged plenty of Stormers defenders over to put them out to a 13-3 lead. The Stormers, though, did finally get something back their way, and it was the creative force of that team, Dylan Lades, who sparks the team, really, not even the back line, the whole side. DeToy was in space with them, and the Stormers spread a little easier as they head to the sheds. Not really dominating this game at all, but still, only within 13-10 was the halftime score. And then it was that man again, Quagga Smith, who finishes the easy part of the try this time. The hard work was done by Lionel Mapu, who shows that his form is getting better and better in a World Cup year, which would be great for South African fans out there watching as well. We'll talk about Mapu some more. His creation and superb support around him in his own 22. Found him 50 metres upfield with no support around him, but his ability to hold up the play was extraordinary as he found a friend in Skozan who zipped 20 metres to score and put this one quite comfortably back for the Lions. 17 points behind, the Stormers had to strike back next, and it was through the rising little scrum half, Herschel Yankees, who's quick thinking, putting the ball up against the post pad while the Lions were pretty much setting their defensive line behind it, gave them a little bit more breathing space and brought them within 10 points. But these Lions, they could be brilliant, and it was the old hands, the Coetzees, the Mapus, the Vorsters that fed it away to the youngster Deontay, who we know is rapid, and he scorched his way in for another try for the Lions. The Stormers, so much like teams we've seen all weekend here, just didn't go away. And a great line from Josh Stander, hitting the ball at pace against the grain, crashing over to invite the interest back into this game. But the Lions, they shut the door, and they shut this one completely out. Tyrone Green was in fancy feet, breaks the line, support of Marks, who does what Malcolm Marks does, just holds the ball up, holds tacklers astray, and gives it away to Diamani, who puts this one to bed. Finally, 41-22, the Lions all over this one. And Paul, you've got something special here to wrap this one up. Hit us with it.
Yeah, so obviously I'm English. I don't necessarily understand South African very well, so please do explain to me what the commentators are going on about here. So did you hear that?
No, couldn't understand a word.
It's a rumble in the jungle. There's chicken wings everywhere. I'm like, what is he on about? I mean, seriously, there was some really questionable commentating going on this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that chicken wings, I mean, everyone would have been up for some chicken wings. We've seen KFC giving out the crowds these days, haven't we, as well? So maybe that's what they're going for. On the game, though, Shane, heaps of points, though, for the Lions. But I think most important about this is they actually picked up the bonus point, which is huge. Oh, do we even have Shane? Oh, we don't even have Shane anymore. Shane's glitched and frozen. We might have to get Paul back. Oh, sorry?
Get me back? Oh, my word. Yeah, we'll have to ditch Shane, sorry. This Lions side, they blow hot and cold, don't they? Sometimes they're playing really well. Other times it doesn't come together. You don't really know what you're going to get from them. This weekend they played well. And as you say, I mean, Coetzee really impressed this weekend. I thought he stepped up massively towards the end of this game to win it. And Quagga Smith as well. But Quagga Smith plays in the same jersey, I think, that Khaleesi does. So who's going to take the box jersey?
Well, you could put one of them at 6. You probably you could put them anywhere, couldn't you? Who's going to play at 8? That's the other question.
Well,
where's Mr. Whiteley?
But yeah, it's with Mapoe and Am both playing well in the 13 jersey as well over these two games. You've got to say the Springboks are looking like they're getting some decent players getting into form at the right time of the year. Some good signs for South African rugby.
But you got to look at the other fact too that it's a 23-man game at the moment, isn't it? Imagine the fact if you're bringing a Quagga Smith on, or you're bringing a Khaleesi would obviously start. But my general idea there, you've got a guy who's at that sort of level that can come on and play that game. would just be impactful as ever. Would be amazing to have. So yeah, they've got great players. Great season for them, and I think consistency has probably been the biggest problem, especially for a team like the Lions. But yep, to grab that bonus point is pretty big for them, and to take that one away from, I guess, a rival, wasn't it, in their division, and the way how close it is, it's got to be massive for them as well. But that is it. That is it for the review this weekend. Pretty exciting games, I think you might say.
Yes, good round of rugby. One of the interesting things might be, though, is that we might get 3 South African teams into the finals, the playoffs, and yet have no games in South Africa, with Jaguares taking the quarterfinal over to Argentina. So that would be a bit of a shock for them. But yes, thank you very much, Steve and Shane, for wrapping up all the action from the weekend, giving your views and opinions. Thank you everybody who's been in the live chat. It's great for you, great to have a chat with you in there. I've been drinking my gin and tonic, and as I've typed away, it's been a wonderful show. So thank you everybody. Don't forget, subscribe so you don't miss all these. I'll be back tomorrow night with the Hash Rugby chat. And one of the things we'll be talking about is refereeing, especially after the performance we saw by Wayne Barnes in the Premiership final. So look forward to chatting to you then.